This is the Shadow Mewtwo perspective of the Shadow Mewtwo vs Blaziken matchup. I've linked the Blaziken perspective in the description. This video will be pretty long and the information dense, so I suggest having something to take notes with. Blaziken is the archetypical rushdown character of Pokken, so it's going to constantly be lunging at you and trying to start pressure. The key to winning is preemptively stuffing Blaziken's attempts to advance and starting your own pressure once you've punished it for overextending. Winning field phase is extremely important because it gives you HP back, gains you synergy, and gives you superior positioning. How successful you are in duel phase is mostly dictated on if you won or lost field phase. So let's focus on this first. When fighting any type of rushdown character, the biggest obstacle is obviously keeping them out. Blaziken can attack from multiple angles in field. It can use Tatsu to beat your projectiles, EX Bravebird to instantly become positive, and its sidesteps beat the tracking of several of your moves while still advancing. Your objective is to provoke and bait these specific actions and get the Blaziken to overextend and get hit by one of your projectiles, or make it whiff to get a whiff punish. So how do you do this? The first step is gathering information. Shadow Mewtwo has a lot of field projectiles from mid to long range that are low commitment, like Psywave Blast, which I'll be calling Shadow Ball, Side Y, Pillar, and Jump Back Y. From a distance, you probably aren't going to be able to convert these into damage, but you can gather a lot of information about your opponent's tendencies with these. So start chucking them out. I feel that especially early in the set, Shadow Mewtwo wants as many projectiles on the screen as possible, so you can observe how the Blaziken reacts to each one and which combinations of projectiles give them the most trouble. And just take a mental note of their patterns. Try to use your projectiles in a way that stays just outside of Tatsu range, and make sure to use Side Y and side steps to reposition yourself to the middle of the screen if you get near a wall. The second step is punishing their tendencies. Now, I don't mean making hard reads like dash up throws all the time. I mean improving your positioning or whiff punishing based on how the opponent moves. For instance, Blazikens often sidestep to avoid Pillar, so you can do Pillar into immediate Side Y in the direction you expect them to sidestep to trap them at the wall. If you are more confident in the read, you can go for Pillar directly into forward Y or homing attack to punish the recovery of side dash and get a phase shift. Ideally, field phase will end in you either breaking Blaziken's shield after whittling it down with projectiles, or getting it to overextend and punishing it for lunging at you. So, that's how you contain Blaziken from mid and long range, but closer up is where most Shadow Mewtwo tend to fall apart. To beat Blaziken up close, you're going to need to break the oldest habit in Pokken, which is homing canceling. If you hold homing long enough to break a throw and then block, you'll just get hit by Blaze Kicks anyway. Instead of homing canceling, when you see Blaziken getting too close or after a move leaves you at 0 or slightly minus on block, you can go for a Jump Back Y. Jump Back Y beats Blaze Kicks, homing attack, EX Bravebird, and basically every attack Blaziken has in field. The only attack it doesn't beat is Tatsu. But after you get used to Jump Back Y's timing and spacing, you can cancel it into Reflect, and it often will armor right through the Tatsu. On hit or counter, you can cancel into Flamethrower to get a phase shift and a hard knockdown. Another important field tool is homing attack. It's a risky option to use offensively, but when you see the opponent homing at you, you can use your own homing attack to beat theirs since yours starts up faster. To recap, fill the screen with your own projectiles early. The goal is to break Blaziken's shield or punish it for lunging from mid to long range. At close range, try to reposition yourself with Jump Back Y and look for an opportunity to get back to the center of the screen. Always be wary of Tatsu. Even though it's unsafe, Blazikens are going to look to throw this out the instant they get frustrated. Duel phase is won by abusing Blaziken's lack of effective normals and zoning tools. First, let's start with how to approach duel after you win field phase. Then I'll talk about the positions you want to stay in and out of when you have control of duel. Okay, starting from winning field. If you shift from close to mid-range with attacks such as counterattack, pillar expand, vortex, forward Y, or homing attack, you can't consistently melee the opponent. When you shift with these moves, it's best to backdash or otherwise back up slightly so you're about 3/4 screen away. I'll go over the details of each of the ranges in a little bit. Now, when shifting from full screen, such as a pillar expand, far forward Y, level 3 shadow ball, or flamethrower, you have more flexibility. You can set up a meaty pillar and dash twice. The 50-50 is either pillar expand or throw. Interestingly, this is a perfect 50-50 against most of the cast as they can't escape the pillar, but against Blaziken specifically, it can EX-DP through the pillar. So if the opponent actually does that, you can go for just one dash, or after the second dash, go for a backdash instead to bait the uppercut. Alternatively, you can just rack up chip damage with pillar and shadow balls until you feel ready to go for the shield break. The last two kinds of phase shifts are from point blank. The first is pillar expand, in which case you can do an immediate 5YY, which Blaziken can't escape from. You can even opt and select side strike here if you want to. Lastly, the best but probably rarest phase shift you'll get on Blaziken is a homing attack in the corner. Shadow Mewtwo's homing attack locks out all of the opponent's inputs except for block when it lands. Blaziken is pretty free to 6x and to jump back in the corner. It's conformable for huge damage on hit, very safe on block, and avoids and punishes counterattack. Now let me go a little in depth about the importance of positioning yourself properly after a phase shift. Shadow Mewtwo's best ranges against Blaziken are full screen, 3/4 screen, and point blank at frame advantage. Unlike other matchups, it's not effective to hang out at half screen or just outside of 6x or 2YY range and try to play footsies against Blaziken. Blaziken doesn't really play footsies, it's just going to try to lunge at you. Some of them are going to try to whiff punish you, but most of them are just going to be lunging. So at that distance, about half screen or outside of your best poke range, it's difficult to try to react to things like 8x and EX Brave Bird consistently. At full screen, you can chip at Blaziken's shield with pillars, which is going to drag it into 3/4 screen range, where you can then pressure it with shadow balls. If it jumps, it's still out of range to hit you. If Blaziken gets hit from this far away, shadow ball often combos into pillar. This strategy will lose some effectiveness in Pokken DX, but for now, shadow balls and pillars are a good way to hold your ground while not constantly giving up space by walking backwards. If the Blaziken wants to jump at you, they'll have to dash or air dash first to get in range, so have your anti-air combo ready to punish Blaziken hard. Same goes for EX Brave Bird and its other lunging moves. At 3/4 screen, you have enough time to react to them properly. If you're not at these two ranges, Blaziken is going to bully you just inside of half screen, so your next best range is point blank when you have frame advantage. Blaziken has trouble dealing with 6x into jumping attacks, and it has no consistent answer for 5YY. Its counterattack also is high risk and low reward. It does no damage on hit, and you can low profile it otherwise. Before engaging Blaziken close up, however, it's good to have a good shield break setup in mind or have burst on deck as a contingency for when you no longer have frame advantage. This video already has a ton of information and it's really long, so what I'm going to do is split the part that I talk specifically about defending against Blaziken close up in duel phase into a separate video, and I'm going to put that out this week, so go ahead and check back for that a little later this week. Alright, that was a lot of information, so to summarize, your best ranges are full screen, 3/4 screen, and point blank with frame advantage. Use shadow balls and pillars when far away, and stick to just shadow balls closer up. Once Blaziken gets closer, look for it to lunge at you and try to anti-air it. At point blank, Blaziken can be abused by 5YY and 6x cancels, so feel free to pressure it. On defense, you can side strike through much of Blaziken's pressure on reaction. Most of its shield breaks are also reactable, so generally the worst thing that will happen to you is you eat a throw. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you got some good notes from it. Share it to spread the word. Later.